Hello, welcome to the second video, Learn With Me. Basically what I wanted to do with this video is talk about how evolution and Genesis can mix, can work together. I think a lot of things regarding science and religion, a lot of people will tell you that they can't mix, but I don't believe that's really true. So originally, my original plan was to go through Genesis with you and everything like that, but I was sitting here and I was watching a very civil debate on YouTube, and in the other room, I heard my son, kind of just like talking to himself, playing with his little trains and stuff. And I figured that this would be a better way. So, as I was listening to my son, I was thinking, you know, out of all the sleepless nights and just outbursts and throwing fits and everything like that, I wouldn't trade any of that for the world. And watching him grow up is the most beautiful thing I could think of, or I believe any parent can think of, no matter how many sleepless nights. And then I started thinking about the whole evolution, Genesis, and everything like that. And so you think about, people say that God created everything in 6 days. They say 7, but he rested on the 7th. So I don't believe that to be true. I believe those days were more of eras. Why? Because we are God's children. We are God's children. So, for him to just miss all of the growing up and the being born, the growing up, everything like that, I don't think any parent would just want a teenager right away, or just like a 30, 40-year-old right away. I don't believe anybody wants that. I wouldn't want that. So, it's the same thing with God. Think about the days as eras, which there's no real reason not to. I mean, God wasn't made, God made man from the dust of the earth, right? So, all the vegetation, animals, water, moon, star, skies, everything like that was there. So technically that to me says the 8th day. Unless he's talking about the way he went to go create man. So I wouldn't trade seeing my son grow up for anything. And I don't think God would do the same thing either. Another thing I was thinking about is that, just really quick, I'll do probably another video on this later if needs be, but well, then why would he allow his children to go to war and all these horrible things happening? What people bring up a lot is the Holocaust and September 11th and all that. And you have to understand that, so God was around, and he had prophets and everything like that in the beginning when he passed down the book. So it's the same thing with my son. Right now he's growing up, and then eventually he's about to be 2. Okay, so what's going to happen eventually is when he gets older, there's going to be house rules. And I'm going to tell those to him, and I'm going to tell him the ways in which I think he should conduct himself as a man. later on. But once he reached that certain age, I can't be with him every second of the day to correct him. So God gave us the book. You know what I mean? It's up to people to choose to follow it this way or that way. I know that there's a lot of people out there probably saying right now or thinking in their heads, whatever, that, well, I could be moral and just without the book. So why do I need the book? Well, that's another video entirely. But, these things happen. It's not God doing them. And granted, obviously, God doesn't seem to be stopping it neither. But I know in a few years ago, I've done a lot of stuff that my parents are not proud about. And I know if my parents watched and cried as I've done some things and been in certain places. So if I were to think anything right now, looking at just what's going on in the world, if I were a parent, I couldn't help but to cry. So, that being said, there's a quote by a famous Holocaust survivor. And Eli something, but a lot of people say it, so I don't know if he originally said it or whatever, but I'm imagining he did. So he's a Holocaust survivor, a Jewish Holocaust survivor, and what he said was, during the Holocaust, I didn't lose faith in God. I lost faith in humanity. So, I think that's a pretty strong quote right there. And I think that's something to be thought about. So, I hope this helps you on your journey. Don't let science tell you that you can't be religious, or let anybody tell you that it can't coexist, science and religion. May God bless you on your travels.